So now we will be going to civil disobedience part movement, that is 1930 to 1934, and after that we will discuss about Quit India movement. Now, as we got to know that Poona Swaraj, yes, complete Independence Day, was celebrated on 26 January 1930, 26 January 1930, and later on what happened that we started protesting on civil disobedience movement. This started on that. Now this movement actually mainly focused on disobeying things like, as I told, we will discuss about the conference that was made, round table conference, and in the round table conference, what were the agreements that was done by Gandhi, that Gandhiji had put, not actually agreement, Gandhiji put out forwarded some conditions, that this condition should be accepted by the British government, otherwise we will not be joining the round table conference. And these were the least, like prohibitions of the use of intoxicants, for abolition of salt tax, then like releasing of all the prisoners. So these were the main, actually, the conditions that was been put forwarded by Gandhiji. Now, what actually the it was been made between Lord Irwin, that is to be remembered here, and actually Lord Irwin also focused. He agreed on some of the. He agreed on that he will look forward the matter and will implement it. And then Gandhiji was that. He agreed on attending the roundtable conference. So actually here we will get to know about this March, that Satyagraha. What Satyagraha? That is not salt Satyagraha. So here this here we will get to know about the that Dandi March and all. So here you just see Gandhi clearly mentioned that if those 11 points were ignored. What were the 11 points? This 11 points. So you just not the 11 points you have to remember, but at least you could remember 4 points here. That the nation would be going to launch the civil disobedience movement. That he said that if these points were ignored, then he will be launching the civil disobedience movement. Consequently, very important, the date, that is 1930, with the famous salt satyagraha of Gandhi, also known as Dandi March, that was launched on, very important, please remember the date here, 12 March 1930, very important, you have to remember the date. And here he started the salt satyagraha. Salt satyagraha means that where he broke the salt law, because the government said that the government made a law that the people were not allowed to produce any salt from the ocean. But here Gandhiji went there along with his members, and there they broke that law. On that day, Gandhiji with some of his followers left the Sabarmati Ashram. Sabarmati Ashram, as we know, that it is in Gujarat. Sabarmati Ashram at Ahmedabad, and made their way towards Dandi. So they went to Dandi. That's why we know as Dandi March. And Dandi is actually a village on the west coast of India. So as you could see here, and they are, after traveling for 25 days and covering a distance of, very important, 385 kilometers, they went there. And on 6th April, means it took most probably nearly a month, that there they went and they tested against the salt law by making salt himself and throwing up the challenge to the British government. And there this moment spread, and the salt laws were challenged. Now here another important question that you get to know is that this northwest province, the movement was led by Khudai Khidmatgar. Very important, Khudai Khidmatgar means the servants of God. And Khudai Khidmatgar, that is, it was also known as red shirts. So one important question it may come, that who were the red shirts? Red shirts were Khudai Khidmatgar, who were actually this they were it was actually a movement led in the northwest frontier province. Now another question may come, that who was the leader of this red shirts? Means who was the leader of Khudai Khidmatgar? Then you can write Abdul Zafar Khan, which is also known as Frontier Gandhi. So most probably 4 important questions we got to know here. One is who was Khudai Khidmatgar, another name of Khudai Khidmatgar, who was the leader of this, and who is also known as Frontier Gandhi. So Gandhi and thousands of freedom lovers, many like children, elders, many were arrested. The first round table conference in London was boycotted. So actually Gandhi refused to attend the first round table conference that was held in London. Now the next is Gandhi-Irwin Pact 1931. So there is nothing to be discussed here, but one thing you have to remember this, that the first roundtable conference that was held on March 5, 1931. Very important, please remember the date. An agreement of understanding was reached between Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Irwin, Viceroy of India at that time. Irwin was the Viceroy. The terms of agreement included the immediate release. So this is important that you have to remember here, that one condition that Gandhiji made is that agreement that Irwin promised that he would release the political prisoners and the remission of fines not yet collected. Um, the government also considered the right, even the government agreed that the right to make salt for the consumption of villages along the coast. So this, and also right to peaceful and non-aggressive picketing. So this three, one important was that he agreed that he would release the political prisoners, and another was that on the remission of all the fines, not to that is on the return of the lands, and another was that to right to produce salt, okay, to make salt. So now the second table conference that was held on London itself, and remember one thing, that which member, who was the only member that who participated there was Mahatma Gandhi, but the conference was failure because no decision was made regarding joint or separate electoralots. So there was no any decision was made, and regarding the separate electoralots. Now restarting the civil disobedience movement. This is not so important, but actually the civil disobedience movement continued from 1930 to 34, where 1930 to 32 we got to understand. But again, as Gandhiji was not satisfied, as Gandhiji's conditions, all the conditions were not fulfilled, and therefore he started the movement on 1932 again. So there what happened, actually Vallabhbhai Patel was been also arrested, and many processions were also led, but this was stopped by the government. Lathi charge was done, every women, children participated, but they were also been arrested, and the freedom of praise, praise were not allowed to give their opinion, and many literatures that were been published like novels, stories, everything was completely banned. So it was completely a complete torture and oppression by the British government, and therefore it was completely we can say it was withdrawn on May 1934. It was completely abolished, actually, means the civil disobedience movement was stopped. Another important is communal award. Communal award, very important. Remember the date, that is 1932. What is that? It was during the disturbed days of civil disobedience movement that the British policy of divide and rule found a new expression. That पहले इसको divide करो, भाग बटोरा करो, फिर उस पे rule उतारो. And the announcement of communal award, very important, August 1932. And who was the Prime Minister? Ramsay MacDonald. Very important. Apart from this, continuing, what was communal award? You just see that it was the policy of giving separate electorates to the minorities like Sikh, Christian and Muslim. So therefore the policy of divide and rule started. There they agreed on giving separate electorates to the minorities like Christians, Muslims and all. They ever declared the depressed classes to the minorities. Even the depressed classes like the untouchabilities, those were not like low caste peoples, they were also given separate electorates. So Gandhiji then in jail undertook a first unto that. So this was done, and he succeeded in getting the Poona Pact. Very important again. When was Poona Pact held? 1932 also. Now what is Poona Pact? If the question comes, very important, you have to remember the depressed class along with other Hindus were also happy to join electorates. Now the thing is that this was done, and the British government agreed to amend the communal award in the light of Poona Pact. Gandhi soon got fully involved in the anti-touchability. Actually, as we know that Gandhiji was completely against untouchability. Harijans, is it? Harijan was also a class of people where they were the depressed classes. They were untouchable. So he forwarded that, and then so this is where along with the other Hindus they were having the joint electorates, and another foundation came, that is Harijan Sevak Sangha. So this is all about the communal awards. The next will be the Congress ministries, and actually this is not so important, so I will not be discussing it. So I will be going for demand for Pakistan, which is also important, and this Chris missions, which is important. Then quit India movement, which is also important part, because this is the last where everything happened, and then we will get to know how India got independence. This will be the last chapters on discussing that. Thank you.